Here with us in the studio to look through the French newspapers this morning is Florence Villeminot. Hello there. And we're going to be starting off with a really big topic in France right now, the budget for next year. French economy, it's still dominating, isn't it?
That's right. It's all over the press because this week the government announced that it's going to cut spending worth 15 billion euros, but also increase taxes worth 3 billion euros. So a lot of papers are looking at just what this means for, well, the future of France, including the future of the Socialist Party. And that's on the front page of Le Figaro, the right-leaning paper that's looking at what could be a consequence of this 2014 budget. Well, it could be a backlash, actually, because the government had initially promised that their 2014 would be some sort of a tax break year. There wouldn't be an increase in taxes. But as you can see on the front page of Le Figaro, the left seems like it's got caught up in this anger over taxes. And Le Figaro says that the President François Hollande and the Prime Minister Jean-Marc Ayrault have been trapped, actually, by these taxes. There's a sense of panic within the Socialist Party, according to Le Figaro, because don't forget that in 6 months there are going to be municipal elections here in France, and within the Socialist Party there's a lot of people who are afraid that voters will punish the party at that ballot box because of this increase in taxes.
Certainly the Socialist Party has been seeing some difficult times, hasn't it? Well, one other party, though, that the paper's keeping a really close eye on is the National Front Party, the far right.
The far right, the Front National, as it's called here in France. Well, it's on the front page of Libération, the left-leaning paper today, that likens it to a poison.
A clear message from them,
clear message from the left-leaning paper. And they take a look at the National Front's strategy and actually liken it to a military strategy in the lead-up to these municipal elections, because under the leadership of Marine Le Pen, the party has really changed its strategy. Her father, Jean-Marie Le Pen, who used to lead the party, he really focused more on national politics and shunned municipal elections. But Marine Le Pen has decided to go local, and she says that the party really plans on conquering the electoral map during these municipal elections.
Okay, and does the paper say how she plans to do that?
That's right. Well, they take a closer look at the strategy, and the plan is to, well, put candidates in a lot of races. There are so far 622 races that will be far-right candidates. That's opposed to 125 races in 2008. Also, the candidates are very young, and Le Figaro Libération rather, takes a look at some of these candidates. Basically, the party wants to dust off this old dinosaur image it used to have with this spiffy, clean, younger version. But in its editorial, Libération says, don't be fooled. Though the party has gone under some sort of a facelift with Marine Le Pen, it's still very much the same old xenophobic party that her father used to run.
Yes, Jean-Marie Le Pen, certainly not the most popular man in French politics, is he? Moving on then from French politics, the situation in Syria is also getting a lot of attention still, isn't it, in the French press?
That's right, particularly the diplomatic side of things. And Le Parisien takes a closer look at this Russian proposal that we keep hearing about, a proposal that, you know, a lot of people say John Kerry actually was behind because of comments he made during a press conference. Now, he was answering a question asked by this woman that you can see here. She's a journalist from CBS, Margaret Brennan. She asked, is there anything at this point that the Assad government could do or offer that would stop the attack? And of course, he answered, giving up chemical weapons, etc. Now, a lot of people are focusing on this journalist because she's become some sort of an internet sensation, because perhaps she has changed the course of what's going to happen in Syria with this question. But as you can see here in Aujourd'hui en France, they wonder, could this question actually have been planted by the White House?
Okay, very interesting questions indeed. We're going to move on, though, to something entirely different for you. Le Parisien newspaper, focusing some comments from the Pope's right-hand man, and it's about the celibacy of priests,
That's
which
right.
I thought was a pretty, you know, it was an unmovable fact.
That's right. Well, it could not be, and it's on the front page of Le Parisien Aujourd'hui en France. Priests, well, could they be about to get married as well? Now, this is because of comments that Archbishop Pietro Parolin said during an interview. He said that celibacy is tradition rather than law. There should be a discussion over whether or not priests should or should not be allowed to get married. Now, this was an off-the-cuff remark, but Le Parisien points out that, well, it's quite a revolution, in fact, and it shows that there's been an enormous break in tradition since Pope Francis was elected, a real revolution, according to Le Parisien.
Yeah, certainly would be quite revolutionary for the Catholic Church. Thanks very much, Florence Villeminot there, with a look through the French newspapers for you here on France 24. And that wraps up this half hour of Live from Paris. Do stay with us, plenty more coming up after the break.